The Street Files, a complete mystery short story, every Wednesday. File 45. A mystery in Sardinia. Olivia Street shuts the door to her flat on the banks of the River Thames, and she and Poppy take the lift, then push out into London and walk the 15 minutes to London Bridge Station to start their journey for a week in the Mediterranean. They only have hand luggage, as Olivia has forwarded their suitcases by carrier 2 days ago, so their bags will be waiting for them in their rooms when they arrive at their destination. It's half an hour on the Thameslink Railway before they get to Gatwick Airport. Then they go airside and have lunch, as they watch the letters and numbers on the indicator boards tick over as the minutes go by. By 1 in the afternoon they walk out of the Cagliari Elmas Airport in Sardinia and find the car hire office before they drop down into a red convertible Mini Cooper, and Olivia heads for the coast road. The sun's out and they track the water's edge on the Strada Statale 195 highway, all the way to the southern region of Sardinia called Santa Margherita di Pula. After 40 minutes, Olivia turns off the road and under a wooden archway that has the words Pula Village Resort cut into the wood above their heads. The reception building is near the entrance, and they check in to collect their keycards, then drive on through the resort's different zones. Some large chalets with their own pools, some individual suites, nestled between palms and sandy pathways. Olivia pulls up and parks the Mini outside a low building only 30 feet from the beach. They step out and Olivia swipes the card through the door lock. As they walk inside, they can see the view from the panoramic windows for the first time. A cloudless, hazy blue sky sits above the sand that runs out for 50 yards to the water's edge. "Good choice, Mum," says Poppy. "There are 2 rooms, both with this view, and doors out to a veranda," says Olivia. They put their heads around the bedroom doors and their suitcases are on stands waiting for them. "Lunch first," she says, and they walk out to the beach, then along to a white main building that houses a dozen restaurants, bistros and cafes, each with different food options. They're by the entrance and deciding where to eat, when a woman stands beside them. "This must be your first time," she says, and smiles as they look around. She has blonde hair tied back, and dark brown eyes. "I remember standing here trying to choose." "We've only just arrived," says Olivia. "Any recommendations on the food?" "The terrace," says the woman. "Sardinian food. Do you want to join us? I'm Liz." Olivia and Poppy introduce themselves. Then Liz leads them to the terrace, and they manage to get a table for 6 near the beach. After 1 minute, a fair-haired man with a blonde girl and a dark-haired boy walk across the restaurant to them. "This is Robert, my husband, and the kids, Ava and Jack," says Liz. The children have identical green eyes. They choose courgettes and malloredus alla campadinese when their waiter arrives, who is called Antine, and constantly smiles as he talks, and doesn't write anything down, as they place their order. "What's your line of work, Olivia?" says Liz. "Law," she says. "Poppy and I investigate." "Law's useful," says Robert. "We're in import-export. Liz is the finance director, I run sales. We met at the company 20 years ago. It's been good for us." "What do you import and export?" says Olivia. "It changes over time, depending on the market, to be honest. If we can turn a profit, then we're interested." "Do you own it?" she says. "No, an Italian chap called Mario Farnese," says Liz. "He made his money in coffee. His father started the business, then Mario sold it to Lavazza. He ploughed half the capital into shipping after that." "He owns holiday properties too," says Robert. "A dozen of the chalets here are his. You're probably in one of them. He lets us stay here every year as part of our bonus." "Which one are you in?" 14, says Olivia. Oh, you're near us. We're in 17. The food arrives and the adults chat about holidays, food and travel, while the teenagers talk about adventure. After the food has come and gone, Jack announces that he's going to water ski, and he invites Ava and Poppy. The three of them cut through the hedgerow bordering the bistro, and walk out across the beach, to a boat hire hut, sitting at the water's edge. 10 minutes later, the adults can see a yellow speedboat being pushed off the sand, with their children on board. They do this every year, says Robert. The kids love it. We can go down to the beach and get a better view. They pay the bill and walk out across the warm sand. The speedboat owner is a local man, says Liz. His son is at the controls. We know them very well. The father has done some work for us. What sort of work? Says Olivia. Oh, general help. The woman smiles again, but Olivia senses that she's shutting down the conversation. Here they go, says Robert, and the yellow boat starts to accelerate as it makes a run 100 metres out at sea. That's Poppy and Ava behind on the skis, says Olivia, smiling. She waves, but the teenagers don't wave back. The parents' eyes track the course of the boat and the skiers for 2 seconds. Then, without warning, the boat becomes an orange and yellow ball of flame in the bright sunlight of the afternoon. There's half a second of silence as people's brains try to build some sort of explanation about what they've just seen. Then the three parents run with all their energy across the sand to the boat hire, but their minds are only thinking one thing. Signore, what happened? Says Olivia. When he looks puzzled at her English, she says, Quello c'è è successo? Non lo so, signora. I don't know. He looks scared, she notices. We need to get out there on the water, she says. Dobbiamo uscire in acqua. Si, signora. He runs to another of the boats on the sand, and the three parents follow him. They push it back into the water and all get on board. The man accelerates away from the shore, towards the burning craft. Salve gente, says the young man, over the noise of the engines, and he points to cupboards next to him. Life jackets, says Robert, and they pull on the orange vests over their heads as they speed across the clear, blue sea. Within 15 seconds they reach someone floating in the water. The boat slows and pulls up alongside the body. Olivia can feel her heart beating out of her chest, and she and Robert lean over and get hands to the person, then pull hard and lift the body up and lower it onto the deck. It's Poppy. She has her eyes closed. Poppy. Olivia's voice is emotional. Poppy. The second passes as Olivia watches her, but it seems like a lifetime. Then the girl coughs and opens her eyes. Thank God, she whispers, and hugs her daughter. All I saw was a big bang, Mum, and the boat went up. Ava is floating 20 feet away, and Robert and the pilot lift her out of the water too. The girl has an injured arm, but is conscious. Robert has asked the pilot to move up further towards the burning speedboat, but it's still an inferno. A red boat from the Sardinian fire service, Vigili del Fuoco, is speeding towards the fire, and it arrives with a flurry, and the front water cannon starts to drench the speedboat. A police launch from the Carabinieri arrives too, and stops nearby, as the flames are quenched, and the two mothers kneel next to their daughters on the bottom of the boat. When the firefighters are happy that the burning craft is safe, they hook a line to the speedboat and tow it into the beach. An officer on the police launch talks to the fire crew. Then they all shake hands, and the fireboat turns away across the water. The policeman jumps out onto the sand, and the pilot of Olivia's, Liz's, and Robert's boat runs up onto the beach, and everyone clambers out. Shall I talk to the police for you? Says Olivia. I can liaise, but I can't advise on Italian law. We'd need a local lawyer for that. Yes, of course, Olivia, thank you, says Liz, as she and Robert cling to each other. Olivia walks to the policeman, who has dark hair and kind brown eyes. Officer, I'm Olivia Street. I'm a UK lawyer, supporting the parents of the teenage boy on board. Are you registered with the Ordine degli Avvocati, Signora? I'm not. I'll just be advising them with general legal information. Could I ask your name? Marshal Piras. Can you tell me any details, Marshal, to convey to the parents? Investigators are on their way, Signora, he says. They'll do their analysis. I will say this is highly unusual. I know the operators of the water skiing service, and we checked their equipment many times. Boats don't just explode. So my opening position is that this is suspicious, he says. What can you tell me about the parents? Not much yet, she says. We've only just met today. I'll talk to them and come back to you. If it's suspicious, could it relate to the people who ran the water skiing service? And my clients just got caught up in something dangerous, but it's not linked to them? Yes, of course, that's possible, he says. Can I ask you something? The two girls on your boat, are they the other children? One is, the other one is my daughter, she says. They were both on the skis at the time, so they weren't caught in the blast. He nods. I can give you a list of local avvocati if you want advice on Italian law. Maybe later, thank you, Marshal. She walks back over to Liz and Robert. An ambulance has arrived to attend to the girls. From the paramedics' initial checks, the girls' symptoms seem to be mostly shock-related, but they'll be taken to hospital for a fuller check-over. Robert and Liz offer to drive Olivia to the hospital, and she sits in the front passenger seat of their silver-grey Volvo XC90. I'm sorry about Jack, she says. My condolences. The parents are outwardly sad, but Olivia's expectation was that they would be much more distraught. Robert, particularly, seems more scared than anything. What did the police tell you? Says Liz. The marshal thinks the explosion was suspicious, she says, and she can see the parents exchange a glance. Do they know what actually happened? Says Robert. Not yet. The forensics team can find out, but they'll be there soon. What can they find out? Says Liz. They'll explore what caused the explosion, says Olivia. It's normally one of two reasons. An engine fault such as a fuel line break, usually. The petrol may have leaked out and sparked in some way. What's the other reason? Says Robert. A deliberate act, she says. The parents exchange another glance. Is there something you want to tell me? If you have concerns or facts that you're aware of, then it's better to flag those before the police find evidence. Tell me what you know. The guy runs the water skiing, says Robert. He was in prison a couple of years ago for petty crime. I don't follow, she says. Are you saying that his petty crime background is linked to the explosion and the death of Jack? The parents look sad, and Liz shakes her head. We don't know, she says. Inside the ambulance, Poppy and Ava are lying on beds along each side of the vehicle as it speeds through the Sardinian day towards the city hospital. I knew this would happen, says Ava. What do you mean? Says Poppy. You knew the boat would explode. No, but my dad's been threatened. Who by? I don't know, says Ava. I heard him and Mum talking. What did they say? Just that he got an email or text telling him to do something. And he and Mum argued about it. I didn't hear more than that. When was that? Says Poppy. Yesterday. What does your dad do? She says. They both work for a company that ships stuff in from different countries into Europe. Do you think that he was threatened over some dodgy shipment then? Says Poppy. Ava turns her mouth down at the edges and shakes her head. Maybe. The Arnus G. Brozzu Hospital in Cagliari is a white, vast, modern block of linked rooms and corridors. Poppy and Ava are carried off to the emergency ward, where doctors check their pulses, pupils, and blood pressure. Ava's arm is broken and it's put into a brace. Both girls have abrasions from the accident, but they're not seriously injured apart from that. They're put in a side room to rest and be under observation for a few hours. The room has 2 beds and a view of the sea in the distance, beyond the city's streets. "Tell me about Jack," says Poppy, when they're alone. "We didn't get on." Ava screws up her features. "I know it all seemed normal today at lunch, but over the last year he's become very distant and just argued with us all the time." "What about?" "What are all arguments about in rich families? Money. I hate it." "You hate money?" "Hate what it brings," says Ava, looking at her. "Everyone only cares about money in this family. Mum and Dad made a load of cash early on in their lives. They weren't born into it like that monster they work for." "Who's that?" says Poppy. "Mario Farnese. You heard of him?" she says. "No," says Poppy. "Mr. Coffee, they call him, in the Italian media. He just inherited the business, though, and sold it. He gives me the creeps." "Why?" "He has Mum and Dad over a barrel. Whatever he says goes. Whatever Mario wants, they deliver. They're modern-day slaves." "Why do they do that?" says Poppy. "He has something on them, I think." "Did Jack work for Mario too?" "No, but I could see Mario seeping into his veins when they talked. Like a poison." "Have you got a job?" says Poppy. "Social media," says Ava. "Dangling luxury lifestyle in front of people, so they like my posts." Poppy frowns. "Dangling a lifestyle you hate?" "Play the hand you're dealt," says Ava. "My parents taught me that honest people end up being hurt." The girl's parents all appear in the doorway. "The doctor has looked at your observation results," says Olivia, "and we can take you out." "We have to go to see Mario Farnese," says Liz. "Is it okay if you take a taxi back, Olivia?" "Of course." "I'll go with them, Mum," says Ava. "We told Mario you'll be there," says Robert. "He wants to help." Ava scoffs. "You're mourning your brother, we know," says Liz. "I know it's difficult, but Mario is our godsend." "I'm really tired, Mum. I just want to sleep anyway," she says. "We can take her back if that's easier, Liz," says Olivia. "The girls can share Poppy's bed for tonight, and I'll be checking on them and call you if we need anything." Liz frowns and looks at Robert, who raises his eyebrows in defeat. "Thank you, Olivia," says Liz. "That's very kind." 2 wheelchairs are brought in by the nursing staff, and the girls are taken out to the entrance. There's a taxi rank, and Olivia and the 2 teenagers take a cab as Liz and Robert weave through the cars to their XC90. By the time Olivia, Poppy and Ava arrive back at the resort, the sun has started to fade from the day. The girls get into their pyjamas, and Olivia orders food from the main building. Then they sit and eat penne carbonara on the veranda, and listen to the waves breaking on the shore as the tide turns. Ava wants to sleep after that, and she goes to the bedroom, leaving Poppy and Olivia alone. "She's not happy, Mum. Money hasn't given her happiness. She was talking in the hospital, and she hasn't got a good word to say about anyone." "Have they always had money, the family?" says Olivia. "No, her Mum and Dad made a load early on, apparently. In their 20s. "I wonder how they did that," says Olivia. "Well, it wasn't enough to stop them working," says Poppy. "Ava doesn't like her parents' boss, some Italian coffee bloke." "Mario Farnese," says Olivia. "They're very close to him. He pays for this holiday every year." "Also, Ava said that her dad got some threatening text, but she didn't know what it was about." Olivia sips from her glass of Italian Viognier. "Do you think it was an accident, Mum?" says Poppy. "No." "As you would say to me, what's your evidence?" "The parents aren't sad," she says. "They gave a weak semblance of acting sad, but they're no actors." "Why would they not be sad?" says Poppy. "There are 3 rationales for parents not being sad about the death of a child," says Olivia. "First, the parents and child didn't get on, but not in the way that many families have gripes about each other. It could have been something more serious, something damaging to them, and Jack's death was a relief in some way." "I've got a second rationale," says Poppy. They were being blackmailed and refused to pay, and the blackmailer killed Jack. Hence the threatening text. It all fits." "It does," says Olivia. "A third possibility is they were expecting it. Half of what we call sadness is in fact shock. The shock of discovering something you didn't know. If you already know about a tragedy, you wouldn't appear to be sad about it." "Clever," says Poppy. "How do we find out, though?" "I think they'll tell us," says Olivia. "People are transparent when you can read them." She smiles at her daughter. "Come on, bed. We can find out more tomorrow, and you need sleep." The next day, Olivia is up and showered by 7, and she stands in the kitchen cutting fruit for breakfast. Ava appears first. "Did you sleep well?" says Olivia, and the teenager grunts, then pours orange juice into a glass. "My mum texted. She wants me back at their chalet." "Shall we come back with you?" says Olivia, as Poppy appears too. "Yes, can you?" "Of course we can." Olivia's phone is charging on the counter, and it vibrates. She looks at the message. It's from Marshal Piras, asking her to call him. She picks up the phone, walks outside to the beach, and lifts the device to her ear. "Signora, I wanted to let you know that you'll need an Italian lawyer for your clients. The forensics team have done their analysis, and it was a deliberate act to blow up the boat. Not an accident. This is a murder inquiry now." "Thank you, Marshal," she says. "I did find out that the father of the deceased received threatening texts, apparently. If you can see those messages, they may give you a lead to a blackmailer." "All right, I'll check it," he says. "Can I also ask you to travel over to the resort and meet me in Chalet 17 in about an hour or so? I think we'll find the answer there." Olivia, Poppy, and Ava eat breakfast. Then the 3 women step out onto the sand. Chalet 17 is 100 yards away, and set back off the beach on its own land. This is the largest chalet that they've seen. It has 6 windows across the front, and a private pool. Ava leads them down the side, and around to the rear of the place. "I might have known," she murmurs, as they see Liz and Robert with a dark-haired man at the breakfast table, on a broad and deep patio that runs along the entire length of the house. "How are you, darling?" says Liz to her daughter. "Why is he here?" says Ava, nodding upwards to the man. "Mario's concerned for us," says Liz. Then she turns to Olivia. "Olivia, this is Mario Farnese, Olivia Street, and her daughter Poppy." The man stands. He is over 6 foot tall, and has smiling blue eyes. He nods his head formally as he shakes Olivia's hand. "We're going to my room," says Ava, and she grabs Poppy's arm and pulls her indoors. "Coffee?" says Liz, and Olivia smiles at her as she sits at the 10-foot round table. "A lawyer," says Mario to her. "You're helping at a terrible time." "As much as I can help, Signore," she says. "I spoke to the Marshal, and I said I'd get back to him with any information that we have." "All cut and dried, I think," says Mario. "I know the boat man Eduardo Rossi. I think Liz and Robert told you he has a criminal past. He has a poor maintenance approach on his boats. I knew something like this would happen, sooner or later." "What do you think is his motive?" says Olivia. "Extortion." Olivia turns to Liz and Robert. "Did you receive a message from Signore Rossi asking for money?" "No," says Liz. "Extortion only works if you threaten first, Signore." She looks at Mario. "It has no value if there's no threat. We'd need evidence to put together a credible explanation." Mario seems sad. She can see. And he rubs his chin. "We can handle the police, Signora," he says. "I have legal people who are qualified in Italian law. We don't need your help, but thank you for being there and looking after Ava last night. Olivia looks at Liz and Robert. I'm suspicious, she says. Robert pulls his eyebrows together. What do you mean? Mario's helping us, as he's helped us for 2 decades. We need to proceed now on our own, and we need to keep it in the family. It wasn't an accident, says Olivia. I'm sure you have your own views, says Mario. I know the local senior officer. The police say it wasn't an accident, and you have no logical explanation for it, any of you. She looks at each of them in turn. But you're not sad, Robert, are you? You're not sad about Jack. Why is that? English politeness. We don't show our emotions, do we? I've been watching people lie to me for 15 years, Robert, she says. And that's what you're doing now. Mario is sadder than you. Everyone is silent. I meant to ask, she continues. How did you make your money at such a young age? A lucky break. Robert tries to sound casual, but fails. You've never done acting, have you, Robert? Says Olivia. Take my advice, don't. Robert looks at Mario for some sort of support. The police are on their way here, she says. I'll let them know what you've all said. You're lying, says Mario. They're not on their way here. Well, I think I'm the only one here who isn't lying. All of you are. Are all of you in this together? Says Olivia. That's the only interpretation I can draw out of your words and each of your behaviours. Your son has died, Robert. Yet you're not distraught. Why is that? Do you know anything about Jack's death? The group maintain their wordlessness. Liz is sad, look at her. So is Mario. They're behaving more like... She stops and looks at Liz. 2 seconds of dead air pass, and Olivia turns over the ideas in her mind. They're behaving more like parents. More like Jack's parents. Liz closes her eyes now. Olivia can see Marshal Piras waiting near the house and listening to this conversation. The police can do DNA tests on all of you as well as Jack, and that would prove it. Is this how you got your money, Liz? You and Mario had a child? Jack? And he paid you to bring up the boy? Liz's eyes are watery, and Marshal Piras walks out from the house, and they can all see him. We checked your phone, signore, says the Marshal, looking at Robert. We had a report that you'd received threatening texts. He hands Olivia a printout of Robert's phone call record. She scans her eyes across the numbers and dates. I see now, she says. You didn't receive the threatening text messages, Robert. You sent them. And this number is Mario's, let me conjecture. It all falls into place. 20 years ago, Mario paid you to bring up his son, which, judging by your sadness, Liz, was Mario's son with you. Then what happened, Robert? You wanted more money to keep quiet? I told you, says Liz to her husband. Was it an affair, Liz? Says Olivia. The woman takes a deep breath out. Mario's wife couldn't have children. He asked me to be a surrogate. He paid us $2 million, but we overspent. Everything we have is on credit now. Robert was getting more and more angry that our luxury lifestyle would disappear. He didn't want to go back to being normal again. He asked Mario for more. And when he said no, he said he'd take away the one thing that Mario valued more than anything. The Marshal walks to Robert. Will you stand up, sir? He clicks handcuffs on his wrists. And high up in the cloudless sky, Birds fly across the resort and out to sea, as the marshal leads Robert away. The Street Files, a complete mystery short story, every Wednesday.